In today's Insight, U.S. President Barack Obama was recently asked if Washington is entering a new Cold War with Moscow as relations sour. The Cold War between the United States and then Soviet Union was characterized by the threat of all-out nuclear war. Now the question becomes, do the U.S. and Russia really want to venture back to those dark days? CCTV's Sean Calebs gives us an inside look at what was designed to be a safe haven for U.S. government officials if Washington was ever under nuclear attack.
Hidden in plain sight. That was the Cold War mantra for a handful of people who built and maintained for years a secret nuclear bunker nestled deep inside a mountain at the Greenbrier Resort in southern West Virginia. A 25-ton steel door swings shut, and in the event of a nuclear attack on Washington, D.C., 1,100 members of Congress and staff would be locked safely inside, with enough power, food, water, and beds to last weeks. It's a story Greenbrier historian Bob Conti has been telling a long time.
This really captures a moment in time, a moment that was filled with a lot of fear. It really goes back to the mid-50s. When, you know, at the flip of a coin, it seemed like the Soviet Union and the United States would be sending bombers at each other.
While school children practiced duck and cover, then President Dwight Eisenhower cut a deal to build the bunker nicknamed Project Greek Island beneath one of the most plush resorts in the nation. Congressional members and limited staff would find themselves racing down this hall in the event of a nuclear assault.
You have a sense that we're in a big concrete box here, and we're not getting out. I mean, I think that tunnel more than anything else gives that sort of kind of creepy feeling, you know.
This is where the decontamination process would begin. Lawmakers would be ushered in. They'd have to remove all their clothes and put them in this chute. From here, lawmakers are then ushered down a very narrow hallway. They're stripped naked, and now jets of water are blasting them as the decontamination process continues. Think about it, what the lawmakers are being asked to endure. They're probably disoriented. They've been rushed here from Washington, D.C. because the worst of the worst, a nuclear attack has happened. The next step is out this door. Lawmakers are brought into this small room. They are given fatigues, some ivory soap, Vitalis for their hair, and some other toiletry items, and then they are prepared to stay in this bunker for who knows how long. The cots, the mattresses, the hospital, the intensive care unit remain just the same as they did in the early 1960s. The Greenbrier kept prying eyes away by placing high voltage signs on massive doors that served as the entrance to the bunker.
I can remember stumbling upon this once back in the secret days.
Former President Eisenhower's goal was to keep the legislative branch of the U.S. democracy up and running.
I think it's pretty clear that the Capitol building probably wouldn't be there anymore. But the point was, we as an institution are here, and I think the goal is to prevent anarchy from breaking out across the country.
It remained a closely guarded secret. Only the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the Senate Majority Leader knew about Project Greek Island. That is, until the end of the Cold War. In 1992, the Washington Post revealed the existence of the site. Once the cover was blown, the government decommissioned the bunker, and today, tourists pay to visit.
Every nook and cranny in this bunker is filled with history, but I think I'm most impressed with just the story. The fact that this bunker was maintained in a state of readiness for over 30 years.
This remained a secret for more than 30 years, and that leads people at the Greenbrier to wonder, what else is out there?
I think 9/11 changed everything. So whatever happened after 9/11, they could have dug a whole bunch more holes in the ground after that, and you know, we don't have a need to know here. You know, the man who ran this for years and years, I remember he said, when you're out of the loop, you're out of the loop. You know, when you don't have a need to know anymore.
There is one thing the Greenbrier bunker still has, its place in history, and no one can take that away.
And Sean Calebs is here on the set with us. Boy, a bottle of Vitalis sitting there for 30 years. That's, I think, is my takeaway. I mean,
Only you and I know what that is. But yeah.
No, that's the thing. It's, you want to talk about dated, but it's fascinating, isn't it? What was it like going in there? I mean, it must have been remarkable for
It
you.
really was. I mean, because you're walking through the Greenbrier, and for folks who don't know, it is one of the most beautiful resorts in the world, I would argue. And they actually built this beginning in the 50s. They built another wing on the Greenbrier above it, and while that was going on, they did all the work below. And you don't actually go down, you actually go into a mountain in West Virginia. So you just go way back in that mountain, and that's what would make it safe.
It kept a secret for so long, and then all of a sudden the Washington Post comes along. They must not have been very happy about that.
A lot of people still to this day, what is it, it's, 20-some years, they're very bitter about that because they felt it was an attack on our national safety, the U.S. And once that was done, you couldn't use it as a hideout anymore. So what do you do with it? And they believe they were victimized, but it was a legitimate story. The Cold War was over. Gorbachev dismantled communism in the Soviet Union. The Cold War was going to be over.
It's got to be just remarkable, and there are people who go on these tours undoubtedly to just take a look at this because it is a throwback to another time.
It is, and there were no shortage of tours the day that we were there. And after 9/11, it really spiked up again. People began going back there and back there. You don't see any people in the tours because the Greenbrier does have a policy. They don't want their tourists bothered, disrupted. It's a long-standing policy, but they were very great and gracious with the time. We got an amazing tour of that facility, and it was really something I don't think I'll ever forget.
Wow, fascinating. Thanks so much, Sean.